St. Gifford calling. Now you call me on rap 1 to 5 next morning. Politics got you hot? Working late or just need company? Have your radio tuned to the big 147s. Plays truly nice on WOHO Toledo.
We're downtown to find out. Excuse me, do you listen to St. Giffo?
He's a singing that group jaywalking the pedestrians.
Oh, Giffo, that's my kid's breakfast cereal. Giffo, Giffo. My kid
I
eats
like
it
that
every morning
kid.
for
He's a
breakfast.
great singer.
Find out for yourself. Rap with St. Giffo, 1 to 5 a.m. on WOHO Toledo.
Who listens to radio? That go where you go medium called radio. That's with you every night through the long commuter fight. And in the morning with your toast and mama lady-o. Who listens to radio? No matter if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall. Who listens to radio? Only 150 million people. That's all.
Good morning. It's 10 minutes after the hour of 2 a.m. This is RAP WOHO Toledo. I am St. Giffo, and you want to know who listens to radio? Well, you're one of them, 150 million people, and I don't know if we got them all, but this is someplace nice, and I'll go back to my caller that I had before the news. Hi there, you're back on RAP with St. Giffo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, what do we want to pursue?
I was just wondering, have you ever seen the movie Psycho?
Yes, I was really impressed with that. I was in New York City when that first came out, and I saw it as a debut.
Was it scary then?
Yes.
Is it now?
No, it isn't as scary, but I think the only reason at that time there was more shock value to it, and they weren't doing any Bonnie and Clydes and Godfathers and things at that time.
Yeah, I know.
It was the same time that The Time Machine came out. I also saw that.
Yeah, I just seen Psycho for the very first time Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And I'd heard for like the past 13 years everybody was telling me it was the most spooky motion picture they'd ever seen.
Well, at that time it was new. I think maybe for little kids it might be spooky. You know, if they hadn't
Ratings back then? You know.
Well, I mean, right now, even if they haven't seen any thing that was too spooky. When I was a kid, I used to think King Kong was the most horrible thing I'd ever seen. I cried through the whole thing. And my brother made me go down and sit in the lobby until it was over. He really scared the pants off of me.
You know, like how they have movie ratings today, like R and PG and that.
Right.
Did they have them in the 60s too? I never really noticed.
No, I don't think so.
They did?
I don't think. Maybe in the late 60s they first came out with ratings.
Because at the beginning of Psycho, they had the thing where it says rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
Uh-huh. Well, I think somewhere in that era is where ratings first came out on movies. They found a need to do that for some reason.
I was just wondering, do you know anything about Houdini?
I know that Tony Curtis played him in the movie.
It's a really strange thing.
And I watched him drowned on stage. You know, he was doing this, trying to unlock himself, and he got into an appendicitis attack while he was underwater, and
It was fake, yeah. I read 3 books on him.
Yeah.
I had to write a paper on him. And there's really strange things. For one thing, he didn't die in that thing.
Is that right?
In real life, you know, he just died from, appendicitis. You know, he had an attack.
You mean they did that just for movie value?
Yeah, you know, it had to have a dramatic ending.
Right.
He escaped from everything. But the strange thing about all this is that before he did die, the true thing he said, he told his wife, I guess they made a pact, that if there was any way for him to come back, you know, he'd come back, but at a certain date. And while I was writing this paper, you know, I went and got the books on Houdini and everything, and I learned something really strange. It would have been 53 years ago, this October the 31st, that he died. He died at 53 years of age, and the movie Houdini was made in 1953.
Right.
So you know,
I think this new series they have out called The Magician is a little patterned after him.
Yeah,
Except they exploit it more to make a series out of it.
do you believe there's life after death, or?
Oh, I have no idea.
I mean,
My mind is open to it if you could prove it to me.
just like flying saucers.
I don't think anybody's ever come back from the other side to say, hey, there's life after death. You know, my mind is open to it until the day I hear somebody that I know, or anybody for that matter, talking to me from thin air and telling me about that. I won't believe it.
Sir Bernard J. Quayle believes in that a lot.
Oh, yeah, well, he studies a lot of the books and things, but I'm one of these nuts that reads books and considers them hearsay because they're not within my experience.
Yeah, but
I can accept it as hearsay and say, assume from this account that it might be true, but until I experience it myself, I have to doubt it.
you believe in Jesus Christ, though.
No.
No?
No, I don't accept the Bible as the Word of God.
You don't? Wait a minute, you don't?
I don't accept any religious writings as the Word of God. I accept creation as I see it and as I study it myself. And out of that, I come to a belief and awareness of my Creator.
Then, wait a minute.
No, really, that's exactly what I mean. Creation was here long before any of the books.
Yeah, but who wrote the books?
People.
Gee, then there had to be such things happening at that.
Well, I don't know. That's their accounting, and it's only one man's writing, or several men, or several hundred men's writing. And until it's within my experience personally,
Well, you ain't gonna go back to that time, man.
I know that. I have to doubt. It's biased. It's just like people that view an accident, and you get 14 different accountings of the same accident, and they're all different.
That's true too. But you think like in the 50s they were making movies.
No, I think most people believe in those things because they're taught them from the ground up, and they never question anything. They say, well, the book tells us don't doubt it, or we're going to be condemned to hell, and if we doubt it, that's what will happen to us, and they believe it, so they don't ever question it.
Do you believe in the devil, or?
No.
No?
I believe in good and bad to some degree, but I think it all works, and they're both necessary to the perpetuation of the universe.
There's a guy that...
I think our perception of good and evil many times is wrong.
Well, there's a guy that works at another radio station here in town. He's an engineer at a transmitter site, and he believes very much, in the occult, and I don't know how you put it.
See, I respect everybody's belief. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I respect your right to believe whatever is in you to believe, but
well, this guy believes that. I don't know, in a weird way it sounded strange, or not strange, it sounded, pretty good to me, because he said, like, believing in the devil means that nothing bad can come to you. Where, if you have really, really strong faith in God, that, the devil's always at some time going to get you.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong, I've never discounted my Maker. I just see him manifested in everything I see about me, not only in the ways of love and the ways of creation, but how the whole thing works. And after seeing that the creation is so perfect that we cannot oppose it, and tracing every argument out to I don't know. I mean, if I were to have a church, it would be called the Church of the I don't know. And at that point, precisely, is where my faith in a Maker begins.
What do you believe in, then?
I believe in something much bigger than me that I can't possibly understand in 1,000 lifetimes, that controls everything.
Well, like I was trying to say,
But I don't go by the book.
Okay.
Don't tell. See, there's a lot of good things in the Bible, and there's a lot of good things in the Oriental writings. There's a lot of good things in the Roman writings, and I find a golden thread of consistency with all people that have written in higher thought, have taken the time to think about how creation is put together, from Lucretius to Marcus Aurelius and all of those people. They have a golden thread of consistency, and the differences that they find between themselves are precisely the things that don't matter, as far as I'm concerned.
No. What I was trying to get onto is that Jesus was, supposedly killed. And then, how would you put it?
Well, that's an accounting from the book, right?
Okay, but he was supposed to have come back to life, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, if you believe in that...
I didn't experience that personally, and I don't.
No, okay, but I mean...
Okay, go on.
The majority of the people in the world do believe that.
Well, that's because they treated it. I got a chronology there. Let's say, for instance, just for the sake of argument, that whole thing was a fable put together by storytellers of the age and was mythology. Let's just say that. You don't have to accept it and believe it, just for the moment as a point of argument. Now that it is accepted as truth by the people of the time and taught as truth through 4,000 or how many ever years it's been to this day, and the people are all believing it, it doesn't change the falsehood. And I have this little doubt in the back of my mind, and until the day I can dissuade myself from finding that shadow of a doubt that God, in fact, was the author of the Bible, I cannot accept it. I can't go to God in prayer and say, I believe, when I have this feeling that he knows that I'm lying to him. I'm not going to lie to him. I will not lie to myself, and out of that start, I will not lie to anybody else.
You're not an atheist or anything?
No, I say I believe in a maker much bigger than myself, but I don't know exactly how to explain it, and I don't think it's necessary. See, if I'm wrong, the only one I have to account to is my maker, no one on this planet. I don't have to answer to any human being.
Yeah. Well, then tell me this, like, if it's fable or whatever, Adam and Eve were supposedly the two first people on this earth,
according to the Bible, yes.
Yeah. Okay. When Eve, when they went from wherever they were to wherever they went to after biting the apple or whatever, where was it they were supposed to have went to?
The land of Nod.
The what?
The land of Nod, N-O-D.
Which is what?
I don't know. That was outside the garden somewhere. They were banished from the garden.
For Adam and Eve.
Yeah, they were banished from the Garden of Eden and went to the land of Nod, at which time Cain took unto himself a wife. Also, his brother Seth was born. They had other children. We have no idea where his wife came from. Some people say it's...
I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I didn't really, when I was little or even growing up, really read the Bible. You go to Sunday school and that, and they got some old teacher there that tells you everything, and usually, I didn't usually pay attention to that. That's why I didn't really understand the whole deal that happened.
Well, I've got to tell you something. I really enjoy the conversation. I wish we could pursue it farther, but I've given you quite a bit of time, and I have a lot of other lights blinking here.
Yeah, yeah.
So you call me back again, and we'll pursue it further.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Good morning. You're on Rap with St. Giffo, and how are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Is this Carol?
Right.
Hi, Carol. How are you? You said fine. Okay, I'll accept that. Dave said I didn't get any mail today, so that answers your question.
Okay.
Now, what would you like to talk about?
I think you surprise everybody after hearing you talk and, and being good to everybody and love and all this, and then to hear you say you don't believe in the Bible. I think you surprise a lot of people anyway.
I'm sure of that. I don't think that has anything to do with being a decent person. I think all the religions propose that we try to be our very best selves and raise ourselves to the beautiful. And one of the ingredients for that, in my opinion, is to be very honest with oneself. And in order for me to be honest with myself, I have to be honest with you too. And I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie to my maker either.
Okay.
And that's an impossibility anyway, because he knows our needs, right?
Right.
Okay.
Knows your every thought. So, about like night people. I guess like I've always been. I don't go out at night or anything, but just don't sleep at night very much. But I think there's nothing you can really do to fight it, because I've heard people say, well, just stay in bed. You just stay in bed and you just in torment, like.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing...
Do a lot of letter writing, a lot of little writings about people.
Well, good. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us this morning?
Oh, I had one. I'd like to read one that I heard you talking about your grandmother that
Oh, right.
week or so.
I loved it.
Grandmother passed away, and one night, she passed away about 10 years ago now, but I got to thinking about her a lot, and I just wrote that, and it's my grandmother. There will always be my grandmother as long as there is goodness, kindness, and peace in this world. For don't you see, she was made of these wonderful things. Even though she has now left this world to go on to a better life, there always will be my grandmother. So when I long for her and feel low, all I have to do is look around and see people being kind to one another. And then I know there along beside me, she is there. So won't you help me keep her alive? Be good, be kind, and help keep peace. So there will always be her, my grandmother. Kind of.
I think that's gorgeous.
So,
I think that's really a nice tribute to your grandmother and your feelings about her.
right.
Well, sure. You was crazy about her, weren't you?
She's a good person.
Uh-huh.
So, but there's one thing I'd like to read, and then I'll hang up.
Okay.
And it's called Grace. And a lot of people, I know it, on night time they call in, say about their problems and different things and how to get through them. And my minister gave me this at a time when I really kind of needed it, and it kind of said it helped him, and it says a lot. It's called Grace. He giveth more grace as our burdens grow greater. He sendeth more strength as our labors increase. To added afflictions, he added his mercy. To multiply trials, he multiplies peace. When we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed ere the day is half done, when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving is only begun. His love has no limits, his grace has no measure, his power no boundary known unto men. From out of his infinite riches in Jesus, he giveth and giveth and giveth again.
I think that's beautiful, and there's nothing I can question in that.
Right.
I really mean that. I'm not really a sacrilegious person. I'm not a non-religious person. It just happens that I'm not within any of what other people accept as formal religions. I do believe in a maker. We all call him God. I will accept that as a point of departure. I pray to him personally myself. And the communication between my God and myself, to me, is all that's important. And I don't worry about other people getting down on me, because if I, in truth, am wrong, and if I'm a blasphemer in their eyes, it doesn't matter. It only matters to me that my Maker understands that I'm trying to be desperately honest with him. And I won't lie in any department to him, if that makes any sense to you. I respect other people and their beliefs. I find it a little harder to get it coming back because of the way I believe, and I expect it, so it doesn't bother me.
Well, I think other people respect other people's beliefs.
I don't believe that. I think that so many people that claim to be religious are very short-sighted in accepting other people's belief, because they cling tenaciously to their idea that I'm right and you're wrong, and you're never going to make it, and I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think I'm right, but yet I respect other people's belief.
I think they're all right. I think as long as any religion claims to be under the heading of a supreme being, then they're all right. I can't conceive of a God that is secular and says, I'm in favor of one religion or I'm in favor of one set of people. These are my chosen few. These are my 1,044, or whatever they happen to be. I believe in a maker that made everything, and he encompasses all of them. And no matter by what name he is summoned, he is so fantastic. He answers all the prayers in whatever language, by whatever name he's summoned, all at once.
Okay, when I say I'm right, I think I'm right for me.
You're just as right as anybody else.
Yet there's other people that I know that's in different denominations and that, which I believe are going to go to heaven as much as I am.
Okay, now I got to tell you something. You know what I detest more than anything in this life is the argument that says that has to make somebody else look bad to make me look good. Does that make sense to you? I mean, and not just within religion, but day-to-day life. They're going to put somebody down to try to elevate themselves.
A person that's doing that doesn't have enough faith in themselves, or they wouldn't be doing that.
Right, but many religions are approached from just precisely that angle, and it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Well, Carol, I appreciate you sharing that with us. I have a couple things to do before I take my next caller. I hope you call me again, and I'll let you know if I got my mail.
Good night.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Hey, buddy. What are you doing this morning? Oh, I'm just collecting nuts. You are one, yes. But why? No, I'm not. Well, listen, buddy. Why don't you take some time out and call Rap? What? Call Rap with St. Giffo. Well, what's the number? You don't know the number to Rap? No. Well, being a nice chipmunk I am, I'll tell you. Okay. In Toledo, T-O-L. You don't have to spell it. Call 255-1470. In Bowling Green, I bet you know the numbers. Yeah, 352-6556. So why don't you call now? Because I don't feel like
Bill Miller. Oh, what a great, great guy, Bill Miller.
Stop for a Bill Miller important announcement. Bill Miller has many late model used cars in stock ready for immediate delivery. As a result of 73 sales, Bill Miller has taken in a large selection of clean, late model used cars. Take your pick now while selection is complete at Bill Miller Ford.
Bill Miller, what a great, great guy.
Your second car should be a guaranteed used car from Bill Miller Ford on Navarre, just east of the Detroit-Toledo Expressway.
Hey, thanks, JT. This is RAP WOHO Toledo, 255-1470, the number from Toledo to call. 352-6556 from Bowling Green. Hi there. Y'all finally made it.
Oh, that's all right.
How are you? Who is this?
I feel my shakes have gone a little bit.
Well, good.
I want to express my feelings toward you. I probably will not be your grandma, but I respect your behavior and respect for your listeners and your callers. I think you make the evenings or the nights go much faster, and you're pleasant with everyone. I don't know, it just seems like some of the moderators are a little short, and they seem to do all the talking and answering.
Yeah, I really try desperately to do that. I know that people like to have their say, and they are people, and they deserve respect, and their right to say whatever they have to say. Once in a while, I have a down night. Last night, I, for whatever reason, before I got out here, got me down, and unfortunately some of that came through, I think. Not to a great degree. Sometimes I hassle a little bit with people, and I don't mean to be nasty, but also in the area of things that I believe I have to express.
I think so. Well, you might as well be truthful about it instead of course, that happened to me last night. I went into this home, and I'm a sales lady, and I went into this home, and I hope I didn't hurt her feelings, but this high school girl, we were talking about dope,
or, the question come up with her mother and I. We were talking. This girl come in and she had all the answers. And we didn't get a chance to talk. And she just came in with her theory of it. And I said something which I shouldn't have in her home. I just said, well, I don't know how anybody can think with all the garbage in them. Anyway, she thought it was okay, but I felt bad after I left. I hoped I didn't leave any...
Well, as long as you were honest in what you were saying, I don't see any reason to feel bad.
It was just mouthing off, and her mother and I just didn't get anywhere with it. And she seemed to think dope was just A-okay, and she didn't think it was bad. And I'm very hard on this type of subject anyway.
I think dope is a phony out.
Oh, my.
I think it's escapism personified.
Me too.
And if people would just get a hold of themselves and try to build their muscles one at a time, and by flexing their mental muscles, their spiritual muscles, their physical muscles, the whole thing, they wouldn't have to go into a phony high with pills or drugs of any kind, or booze for that matter.
Well, really, I think it's a sick person that takes this booze or pills.
Yeah, but unfortunately the sickness is bred within our society, so there must be something wrong that causes people to
Absolutely.
search out for.
I was tired. I had, getting back to what I called for, I do want to say this is great. And again, tonight I heard you say something about this young chap, he can't get up, I do think there's a lot to what you said. If you like your job, or if you're looking forward to what's going on about your job, you like it better. And you certainly must like your job because you do so well on it.
Oh, thank
It makes you want to get up and work at everything.
Yeah, well, I think it can't help but come through when you're enjoying what you're doing and you're in love with the idea of what you're doing. I think Michelangelo said to work outside your trade is like making soup in a basket, and Gibran says to work other than what if you can't put love in your job, you'd be better off begging alms at the gate.
That's right. Give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you.
Right.
One of us, we had a little, we went on a convention up in London, Ontario, and I was so impressed. The trip was beautiful, especially the scenery, and everything was so clean up there. It's my trip first up there. In fact, I was so ignorant. I guess I didn't realize I was out of the United States until we made a purchase, and they gave us change with foreign money. And I was so ignorant, I didn't realize that this was going on until it really happened. But everything was so impressive and clean, and I was talking to a young chap up there, and he was telling us a few things about the cleanliness that was a must, and it wasn't a troublesome thing either. It was just something that they do all the time and don't think anything about it.
You know what I think that is? I think that's another case of really caring about your community and caring about what you're living in.
He said something about like if they would catch somebody disposing of something in the parks or along the highway or anything, like throwing out trash, well, you're penalized, and you have to work so many hours for the city here. If you're working like in a shop or an office, you can't go to work that day. You have to work for the city with no pay until this penalty is paid. And it's a beautiful, you couldn't see a scrap of paper or beer bottles and stuff laying around like you do here. And we came back, and we came through Detroit, through the tunnel. And we stopped at this restaurant, and we got out of the car, and there was 2 bags of rubbish that somebody had dropped from their car, and dirty Pampers laying there. And I said, my God, just think of the penalty someone might have paid in the United States. Ought to go up there and take a few lessons.
Right. That gives a good indication of where we're at in our thinking.
Oh, right.
Really. I mean, that's very basic and
This was so unsightly. You get out of the car and it was raining so hard anyway, and then there's all this trash laying there, and a pamper, somebody was too busy to put it in a trash container, which is so unsightly,
See,
you know.
That's where education starts, is at the cradle. And unfortunately, we have parents by the score who are so far past the cradle and just in the habit of disposing of things like that with no care to what the community looks like or what the house looks like, for that matter.
I was so ashamed, this boy said, and some other people in Ontario said, well, we came into Ohio, and it was so dirty. You know, it made me feel ashamed to think that I knew that.
Beautiful Ohio, la la la.
Well, it's nice in places there, but I was impressed with that, and it was just the way they went on about their being. It just seemed to be an easy thing to be clean. And it showed. Well, I better go. There's many other people trying to talk, but I just wanted to...
What's your first name?
Margie.
Hi, Margie. Oh,
Margie.
Can I sing your song? Margie, I'm always dreaming of you. Days are never blue. After all is said and done, there is really only one. Hey, Margie, it's you.
Thank you, Giffo.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You sing that to me when I was a kid, and boy, it used to make me nervous. I thought, oh dear.
You remember My Little Margie on television?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm related to her.
Oh, are you?
By maybe 10 times removed, but I still claim it. She was a Texan with a little Indian in her blood.
Yes. Have an easy evening.
Hey, you too.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good morning. This is St. Giffo. You're on Rap Someplace Truly Nice through the night here on Pickle Road.
Good morning.
Hi.
Well, don't you think night people were born with the instinct to be night people?
I think I can't question that.
I know I started being a night people when I was 14.
You know, you just made me think of something, why I'm night people. Because you took it way back to birth. I remember in the early years, I suffered with scarlet fever and ended up with the pink eye, and the doctor kept me in the room for a month in total darkness.
Oh, dear.
Total darkness for a whole month because of the pink eye. And I think maybe that has something to do with my being a night person. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. After you start getting a little away from your parental...
Yeah, well, they say the way of a child sometimes is already set within the first 5 or 6 months.
Well, I think that because when I was 14, I started. And you could get me in bed, but you weren't going to get me to sleep.
I'm not going to touch that one.
When it come time to get up for school, I just wasn't ready. And for the gentleman that can't wake up in the morning, he'd better fix it so he can accidentally dump a bucket of water on his head.
You know, I used to try so many dumb things. I had radios that would come on blaring and alarm clocks across the room, so I'd have to get out of bed.
Oh, I don't even...
Wait a minute, I had lights blinking and people calling me, and if I was resigned to that bed, I wouldn't get up and turn them clocks off and throw myself back in bed, turn the radio off, and leave the phone off the hook and everything else.
Oh, no, that doesn't work. I set an alarm clock 10 feet from me. Of course, like I say, I don't go to bed.
I could never understand why when I went to bed I was wide awake and I says, I know I've got to get up and I want to do this and I'm really enthusiastic about it, But by the time I really got into a deep sleep in the morning, I just didn't care.
Well, it just isn't that way with me because I should be up at 8 o'clock. But you know that sometimes, well, I have to be up at 8 and then I have to be up at 10.
Oh.
So I lay my husband's breakfast out there every night faithfully. I
Duty first.
take my sleeping pills, and when I get him up, I say, I'm going to bed. 3:30. Well, I'm still sitting there usually at 5 o'clock. Then I wait till 5:30, and then I turn the television on. First thing you know, it's 8 o'clock, and then it's 10 o'clock, and then something else comes up. And there I'm still sitting, sleeping pills and all. Of course, I don't take the sleeping pills to sleep. I take them because I have nightmares.
Oh, is that right? Tell us about your favorite nightmare.
Oh, gee, I can't think of any right now, but I'll tell you, my son told me in a couple of years, and I'm going to quit taking my sleeping pills. And when I have one of those nightmares, I'm going to immediately write it down. Oh, 'cause believe me, I have some beauties. Oh, I can think of one. I had the flu. Of course, I couldn't just exactly say this was a nightmare. But I had been given some medicine. Now, I would swear I wasn't asleep.
Yes.
But I had a green clock radio, and I had a nightgown, just about the same color. And I looked, and there I was sitting on top of that radio in the position of a Buddha.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And the next thing I was...
The lotus position.
No, with your arms crossed.
Okay, I got you, with your feet and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, I was flying up and down Central Avenue. Oh, boy, was I having a gorgeous time. My green nightgown just billowing out behind me.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And that's one I never will forget. But I've had some doozies besides that. And are you acquainted with, Glenwood Avenue, say from Monroe Street to Detroit Avenue?
Yes, I am, very much.
Well, that used to be one of the most beautiful streets you'd ever see. And I used to close the beer joint up, and I'd go down the street about 3 blocks and sit in the coffee place until it just started getting light.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd start for home, which is about 3 miles away.
Was that by Nestlewood, the coffee place?
Oh, no, you mean the little hut.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It slipped out.
That's a mini commercial. That's all right. I know Jim. I do some work for him.
No, this was a beer place.
Okay.
Dance. Oh, did I used to dance. To 2:30 in the morning. Then I'd go down and sit till it started to get light. And then I'd start for home. And I'd walk. From, I can't remember whether it was 17th or 21st in Monroe, out to Glenwood. And in the fall, that was gorgeous.
Yes, really, really.
They have those great big trees. Of course, I don't know how it is now. I wouldn't even walk down there in the daylight.
Okay, well, what's your first name?
Jane.
Yeah, okay, Gene. Every night I have to ask you to make sure that's you.
Well, I'm very changeable.
Yeah.
Tonight I feel real good.
Well,
I wrote
know
you a
you
letter
do. Right.
on happiness. As soon as I get an envelope and stamp, I'll mail it.
Oh, you still got it.
What?
I said you still have it there. It's not in the mailbox.
I have to wait for one of my kids to show up to get me an envelope and stamp.
Oh, okay. Well, honey, I'm really going to have to move along. I got Sounds of Love. I'll send them out to Jane all by herself.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you called me again tonight. You going to listen to our Halloween show tomorrow?
I rather imagine.
Yeah. I hope we don't scare you too much. Just remember that it's all prevaricated and contrived to make you uncomfortable. But it's funny business, too. You'll enjoy it.
I'm not afraid of anything.
Right, darling. Well, here's Sounds of Love just for you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You know, sometimes I think that nobody loves me.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel very sad.
I will love you. You think of that.
Come on, break down and love like a kid again.
Well, if I think of that, how will I feel?
Then you won't be sad anymore.
Come on, break down and love like a kid again.
And then you won't be sad anymore.
Good morning. The latest zone 1470 forecast, cloudy and mild with occasional drizzle and a low of 45 degrees. Later today, variable cloudiness and warmer. Thunder showers at night and a high of 60. Thursday, cloudy and mild with occasional rain and a high of 58. Exclusively for WHO, this is Staff Meteorologist Harry Green.
Why, Harry Green, thank you. It's been a while since we've had you at night. That's another one of our college graduate Pittsburgh weather meteorologists, and we have the finest array of weather meteorologists, and I think we give the best weather forecast in the whole wide community of Toledo. Hi there, you're on Rap with St. Giffo. Good morning. It's 2:45.
I know, and I should be asleep.
Well, I'm glad you're not, because I'm talking to you.
You seem to be a well-versed, opinionated man.
It seems that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Sometimes. Do you think there's any real power involved in witchcraft?
My mind is open to that. I don't know exactly what approach you're using to witchcraft. If it's the... I had some people on here over a month ago, and they claim that witchcraft deals in the goodness and so forth, rather than the weird witchery that we hear so much, the bad side. I don't know. The Wicked Witch of the West and the Good Witch of the East and all of that is kind of kid stuff as far as I'm concerned. But I think, to tell you the truth, I think they have a piece of the action, as well as the religious people and the philosophical people and the palmists and the astrologists, the horoscope people. I think they all have a little tiny piece of the action. Nobody has it all, and everybody's trying. And if we're to understand anything at all about life and why we're here, it'll come after we die, if we're supposed to know it all.
That doesn't help my immediate problem.
Oh, what's your immediate problem?
I've tried everything else. I've been listening, reading about witchcraft, and they claim to be able to achieve certain things. My friends tell me that, it's very dangerous and that I could wind up paying for what I want in more than money.
Well, what kind of people tell you that?
My friends.
Where do they come from?
Where do they come from?
I don't mean what town or what area of the city. I mean, are they essentially religious people that tell you that?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't exactly call them religious.
I think if you approach whatever it is you want to believe in or whatever you feel that you believe in, and you approach it positively, that it'll do the job for you, and there will be no recriminations or anything to suffer. But you have to really be sure what you're doing in your own mind and honest with yourself as totally as you're able to be.
Are you referring to the power of positive thinking?
Well, that's a good bit of it. I think that not only are we born and bred within the universe, we unfold as individuals from inside ourselves. And it has to start with you, and it has to start with being honest with yourself about whatever you're getting into. If you have doubts about, say, the witchcraft or any other area of your belief, then how can you hope to come up with a positive result?
Well, I started out with some positive thinking when...
Well, you're letting people put negatives in there, and you should never let people do that to you.
I tried praying for 5 years for what I wanted.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, I don't know what you want, but many times are really not theirs, or they don't want to work for them or something. If you really have... Huh?
I worked for it. I really worked for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I knew precisely what you're talking about, it'd be a little easier to deal with, but if you don't want to explore that on the air, I don't want to have you do that.
It makes no difference at all to me.
Well, what is it that you want, that you've been trying so hard to get?
I want my man back.
Oh, see, now you're dealing with another person.
That's why everybody tells me to quit fooling around, not to go make the appointment. I've got an appointment to see or to have a psychic consultation.
You think the powers that be could force him to come back into your life? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know why you'd want to force anybody without their own free will.
Well, I'm sure that he wants to, but he just doesn't have the...
That women's intuition kills me every time.
Why?
I don't know. It's really a positive thing on your side of the fence, but you rationalize it to say, well, he's not here, and apparently he's staying away, but he's staying away because he really wants me.
That's not it. I think that it's almost, he doesn't have the capacity, to stand up and say, I want to go back, It would involve him losing a great deal of his wealth, for instance. And that takes a great deal of capacity to say, okay, I'm going to give it up, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't need power, I don't need wealth.
Well, I find that in a person's individual life, you can do almost anything until you come up against another person who also has a will of their own. And if you constantly are fooling yourself into believing that you can change that other person's will, then you're going to come off with less than what you anticipate. My thing is different than yours. You are going into this expecting something. I go into every day and every minute of every hour expecting very close to nothing and being happy with every minute as it comes to me rather than wanting something that isn't there or something that used to be there.
Well, I've always thought I was an intelligent, stable young woman until all of a sudden, here I am alone,
Uh-huh.
And now
sometimes in your life,
it's pretty hard for me to face, and I can't adjust to it yet.
I know, but you're trying to cling to something. I know that you don't want to accept the idea that he doesn't want to come back, right? You don't want to accept that idea. I've been there. I've had situations with...
I keep telling myself he can't come back because, you know, he's going to get stung for everything.
No, the thing that you will not face is that very possibly he does not want to come back. You won't face that on any terms.
That's probably what my problem is.
And when you reach the point that you can say, oh, why am I frustrating myself and wasting my life on somebody who doesn't want me?
Because I'm getting older and I'm tired of looking.
And they eat their heart out for somebody that doesn't want them. They don't respect them enough to give them any time or cut the strings positively and say, get out of my life.
.1470 WOHO, Toledo, Ohio. This is Scott, and I am your host tonight with St. Giffo and Andy Douglas.